This is the Epoch Times.
Welcome to Epoch Audio, showcasing the best journalism covering news, culture, and society, addressing issues overlooked or avoided by other media. For the text version of this and more articles providing truth, tradition, and hope, please go to theepochtimes.com.
China joins Hamas, erases Israel from map, by Roger L. Simon. No greater proof of John Dalberg Acton's famous quote about power tending to corrupt and absolute power tending to corrupt absolutely exists today than the leadership of the People's Republic of China. Lord Acton added in his letter to Bishop Mandel Creighton, "Great men are almost always bad men." Well, the great men who rule the Chinese Communist Party have achieved what Hamas, despite its endless chants of "from the river to the sea," was unable to do. They have wiped Israel off the map, literally. The Wall Street Journal reported, internet users in China are expressing bewilderment that the name Israel doesn't appear on leading online digital maps from Baidu and Alibaba, an ambiguity that matches Beijing's vague diplomacy in the region and contrasts with its attentiveness to maps generally. Vague diplomacy? It hardly seems vague when you erase an entire country. Even tiny Luxembourg is identified. In the case of Baidu, key Israeli cities are shown, but not the country in which they are located. Baidu and Alibaba are major Chinese companies that exist by permission of and under the supervision of the CCP. This omission didn't happen by accident, neither was it meant to be ignored. The WSJ isn't the only media outlet that discovered it. Many news outlets and their audiences across the globe will know about it if they don't already. The erasure of Israel is a form of twisted virtue signaling to China's allies, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, plus terror proxies such as Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, that the regime is on their side while being able to remain somewhat above the fray and avoid any involvement, that these days is known as kinetic. None of this is new, of course. The CCP, with its Maoist roots and alignment with so-called liberation movements, has always supported the Palestinian cause. But the CCP didn't jump in on Hamas's side immediately, initially calling for calm and so forth. Perhaps it realized that the optics of Hamas's atrocious barbarian behavior might not be the best. Recently, however, the state news agency Xinhua reported Israel's actions have gone beyond the scope of self-defense. Almost simultaneously, Israel was erased from the online maps. The hypocrisy of this is monumental. Imagine how China would have reacted had it been attacked. But that doesn't matter, since the only principle China has followed in all this is the one that guides them always: world domination, gradual and inexorable. And yet so many of our leaders choose to ignore China's behavior for fear of shaking the tiger or out of self-interest. In other cases, our politicians do a little virtue signaling of their own, thereby avoiding dealing with the reality of Chinese expansionism. California's Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom informed us of his priorities on his recent trip to Beijing in this X, formerly Twitter, post from Fox's Elix Michelson. Mr. Michelson wrote, "I ask at Gavin Newsom, why not bring up human rights directly with President Xi?" He says the State Department advised he bring it up with China's VP and foreign minister so he could focus on climate change with Xi. I had the opportunity to talk about the most important issue in our lives. Forget the Uyghurs, forget Falun Gong, forget democracy demonstrators, forget the Belt and Road infrastructure program that's exploiting the globe, forget the Wuhan Institute of Virology. For Gavin Newsom, it's climate change. I could go on about how Chinese leader Xi Jinping's China profits from the climate obsession by being the world's greatest exporter of solar panels and rare earths for electric cars, much of which comes from Chinese-owned mines in the Congo that depend on child labor. But why bother? It wouldn't make a dent with Mr. Newsom. Meanwhile, Israel is erased from the map. Thank you for listening to Epoch Audio. This was China Joins Hamas, Erases Israel from Map, written by Roger L. Simon and read for you by Chris Rod. Views expressed in this article are opinions of the author and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Epoch Times.
For more Epoch Times articles in text, please visit theepochtimes.com.
This is the Epoch Times.